Hello, family. Enjoy this relaxing moment with Surly Tales. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. It means the world to us. Also, share this video with your friends and loved ones, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss future videos from us. Thank you as you do so. Sit back and relax as we dive into the story. The morning sun bathed Lagos in its golden glow, illuminating the bustling city that never seemed to sleep. The streets teemed with activity, vendors hawking their wares, cars honking incessantly in the legendary Lagos traffic, and pedestrians navigating the chaos with an unspoken rhythm. In the heart of the city, nestled in a towering glass building, Ada walked confidently into her workplace, Galaxy Bank. Ada was a vision to behold. Her smooth ebony skin glistened under the morning light, and her natural curls, styled in a high puff, framed her delicate face. She carried herself with an air of grace, her fitted pencil skirt and vibrant encre blouse blending modernity with African tradition. At just 28 years old, she had carved a niche for herself as one of the bank's most efficient customer relationship managers. Her clients adored her for her warmth, and her colleagues respected her diligence. As she entered the office, her eyes swept across the open-plan space. The familiar hum of keyboards and quiet chatter filled the air. At the far corner, seated behind his desk, Yuzo stole a glance at her. Yuzo, the bank secretary, was a reserved young man in his early 30s. He was well-dressed in a crisp white shirt and tailored trousers, his round glasses perched on a slightly crooked nose. Though not as outspoken as others in the office, Yuzo was reliable, kind, and quietly observant. For months, Yuzo had admired Ada from afar. He was captivated by her intelligence, the way she spoke with authority, and the kindness she showed to everyone around her. However, his admiration was laced with self-doubt. What would someone as accomplished as Ada see in someone like him? That afternoon, as was their routine, Ada and Yuzo went to the small but cozy restaurant across the street for lunch. The restaurant, called Mama Kemi's Kitchen, was a favorite among the bank staff. Its walls were adorned with colorful murals depicting scenes from Nigerian village life, and the tantalizing aroma of jollof rice and grilled chicken filled the air. Ada ordered her usual, a plate of pepper soup with yam, and took her seat at their usual corner table. Yuzo, visibly nervous, fidgeted with his cutlery as he sat across from her. "Yuzo, you've barely touched your food. What's wrong?" Ada asked, her warm brown eyes filled with concern. He took a deep breath, his heart pounding like a talking drum. "Ada, there's something I've been meaning to tell you for a while." Ada tilted her head, intrigued. "I'm listening." Yuzo looked down at his plate, gathering the courage to meet her gaze. I really admire you, Ada. You're smart, beautiful, and everything I've ever wanted in a partner. I've been holding back, but I can't anymore. I have feelings for you, and I was wondering if you'd consider giving us a chance." Ada was taken aback. She hadn't seen this coming, but as she looked into Yuzo's earnest eyes, she felt a spark of curiosity. Yuzo was gentle, reliable, and had always treated her with respect. Could there be something more between them? After a moment of silence, she smiled. "Yuzo, I appreciate your honesty. You're a good man, and I see no reason why we shouldn't explore this. Let's take it one step at a time." Relief washed over Yuzo's face, and he broke into a broad smile. "Thank you, Ada. I promise you won't regret this." Their conversation flowed effortlessly after that, with Yuzo sharing stories of his upbringing in Enugu and Ada talking about her childhood in Abuja. They found common ground in their love for high-life music and a shared dream of traveling the continent. By the time they returned to the office, Yuzo felt like he was walking on air. The first chapter of their relationship had begun, and for both of them, it felt like the start of something beautiful. As the day ended, the golden hues of the sunset reflected on the bank's glass walls, mirroring the warmth in Ada's heart. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to hope, not just for love, but for a partner who could journey through life with her. Little did she know, this journey would be anything but smooth. The first few weeks of Ada and Yuzo's relationship were filled with the excitement of new love. They texted each other throughout the day, shared inside jokes, and often stayed on late-night phone calls. talking about everything from their favorite meals to their dreams for the future. Yuzo made Ada feel cherished, and Ada, in turn, found comfort in Yuzo's attentiveness and sincerity. Their favorite spot, Mama Kemi's kitchen, became the backdrop for their growing bond. Over plates of jollof rice and steaming bowls of egusi soup, they planned trips to Obudu Cattle Ranch, talked about starting a family, and imagined a life filled with mutual support and happiness. Yuzo even started bringing Ada small gifts, bracelets made from African beads or handwritten notes tucked into her bag. But as the weeks turned into months, subtle changes began to emerge. Yuzo's warm demeanor was occasionally replaced by bouts of irritability. It started innocuously enough, an offhand comment about Ada's dress being too tight or a suggestion that she skip dessert to stay in shape. At first, Ada laughed it off, thinking he was simply being playful. "Babe, you know I love you just the way you are," Yuzo would say, his tone light but his eyes critical. "I just think you could look even better if you toned up a bit." Ada frowned at his words, but she brushed them aside. After all, relationships required compromise, and she didn't want to overreact. Over time, however, Yuzo's comments grew sharper and more frequent. One evening, as Ada returned from a long day at work, Yuzo greeted her with a disapproving look. "You're late," he said, his voice edged with annoyance. "And you've been eating out too much. Look at your face, it's starting to round out." Ada stared at him, stunned. "What are you talking about? I've been working hard, Yuzo. You know how demanding my job is." "That's exactly the point," Yuzo snapped. "You're overworking yourself, Ada. Quit the job. I can handle the expenses. Focus on yourself and our future." Ada's heart sank. She loved her job. It gave her independence, purpose, and pride. "I can't just quit, Yuzo. My career is important to me. But I'm important too, right?" Yuzo pressed. "Or do you care more about your job than us?" The conversation ended in silence, but the tension lingered. The gym obsession. A week later, Yuzo suggested they get gym memberships together. "It'll be fun," he said, masking his insistence with a smile. Wanting to keep the peace, Ada reluctantly agreed. But what began as an occasional workout turned into a rigorous schedule dictated by Yuzo. "Let's go, Ada," he would say, dragging her out of bed at 5 a.m. on Saturdays. No pain, no gain. Ada complied, though her body ached from the strain. She found herself juggling intense workouts, a demanding job, and Yuzo's growing expectations. Every missed session was met with frustration, every indulgence with a scolding. "You're not taking this seriously," Yuzo said one morning after Ada decided to sleep in. "How do you expect me to feel proud of you if you can't take care of yourself?" Ada stared at him, her chest tightening with frustration. "This isn't about me anymore, is it, Yuzo? You're trying to control me." "I'm helping you," Yuzo shot back. "You'll thank me later." The breaking point. One sweltering afternoon, after hours of relentless cardio, Ada felt her vision blur. Her legs gave way, and she collapsed onto the gym floor. Gasps filled the room as other gym-goers rushed to her side. "Ada, are you okay?" a stranger asked, fanning her with a towel. An ambulance arrived, and Ada was whisked to the hospital. For 3 days, she lay in a sterile hospital room, recovering from dehydration and exhaustion. During those 3 days, Yuzo did not visit. When she was discharged, Ada returned to the home she and Yuzo shared. She packed her bags in silence, her movements steady but resolute. Yuzo barely looked up from his phone as she zipped her suitcase. "You're really leaving?" he asked, his tone indifferent. Ada paused, looking at him one last time. "I've given you my love, my time, and my energy. But I can't give up myself. Goodbye, Yuzo." And with that, she walked out, her heart heavy but her spirit unbroken. A fresh start. Ada returned to her family home, where her mother welcomed her with open arms. The familiar scent of her mother's freshly baked chin-chin filled the air, a reminder of simpler, happier times. With her family's support, Ada found a new job as an accountant at Lux Fashion Mall, one of Lagos's most prestigious retail centers. The job came with challenges but also offered opportunities for growth. For the first time in months, Ada felt a sense of freedom and control over her life. Though the scars of her relationship with Yuzo lingered, Ada vowed never to settle for anything less than the respect and love she deserved. As she adjusted to her new life, she had no idea that her journey was far from over, and that fate had more in store for her than she could ever imagine. Ada's new job at Lux Fashion Mall was a breath of fresh air. The mall was an expansive modern structure located in the affluent Victoria Island district of Lagos. It boasted polished marble floors, gleaming glass storefronts, and a clientele that ranged from celebrities to high-ranking business executives. For Ada, stepping into this new world was both exciting and intimidating. Her role as an accountant involved managing the financial transactions of the mall, tracking inventory expenses, and ensuring the retail shops maintained profitability. The work was challenging, but it gave Ada a sense of purpose she hadn't felt in a long time. Her desk was tucked away in a corner of the sprawling administrative office, offering her a view of the bustling mall below. Ada quickly became well-liked by her colleagues, who admired her professionalism and willingness to help. She was often seen in the break room, sharing her homemade puff-puffs or teaching coworkers how to calculate complex financial formulas. Her warmth and humility made her stand out, and soon, she became a trusted member of the team. The support system. At home, Ada leaned on her family for support. Her mother, a retired schoolteacher, was her biggest cheerleader, constantly reminding her of her worth. "My daughter," her mother often said while dishing out plates of steaming yam porridge, "you're like the eagle. You may have been caged for a while, but you were born to soar." Ada's younger sister, Kelechi, was another pillar of strength. A tech-savvy university student, Kelechi spent her evenings introducing Ada to productivity apps and encouraging her to focus on self-care. "You've got this, Ada," Kelechi said one night, nudging her sister with a grin. "And if anyone tries to mess with you again, just call me. I'll handle them." Ada laughed, grateful for the lightheartedness her sister brought into her life. The arrival of Dawn. 3 months into Ada's role, a significant change rocked the Lux Fashion Mall. The current manager, a mild-mannered older man named Mr. Obinna, announced his transfer to the mall's Abuja branch. His replacement, Don Onyekachi, was the subject of much speculation. Rumors swirled around the office about Don's reputation. He was known as a no-nonsense businessman who had turned around several failing enterprises. Some whispered that he was a self-made millionaire, while others spoke of his intimidating presence. When Don finally arrived, he did not disappoint the rumors. He was tall, with a commanding aura that seemed to fill the room. Dressed impeccably in tailored suits, he spoke with precision and authority. His deep voice carried a calm intensity that made people sit up straighter in his presence. From the moment Don assumed his position, he set a new tone for the office. Meetings became more frequent, deadlines stricter, and expectations higher. For Ada, this meant longer hours and increased scrutiny. Clashing personalities. At their first meeting, Don's sharp gaze landed on Ada's reports. He flipped through the pages quickly, his expression unreadable. "These numbers are accurate," he said finally, "but your presentation lacks clarity. Simplify the charts. I want these reports to speak for themselves." Ada blinked, caught off guard by his criticism. She had poured hours into perfecting the report. "I'll work on it," she said, her voice calm, though frustration simmered beneath the surface. As weeks turned into months, Don's expectations grew more demanding. He would call impromptu meetings, point out minor errors in her calculations, and push her to deliver faster results. Ada began to feel the weight of his scrutiny, and though she tried her best, she often went home exhausted. During one particularly tense meeting, Don questioned her inventory audit process. "You're missing a pattern here, Ada," he said, gesturing at the screen. "How can we improve if you're not thorough enough?" Ada felt her cheeks flush with anger. "With all due respect, sir, I've followed every procedure to the letter. If there's an issue, it might be with the system itself, not my work." The room fell silent. Her colleagues exchanged nervous glances, unsure how Don would react to her defiance. To everyone's surprise, Don's lips curved into a faint smile. "Noted," he said simply before moving on to the next topic. Though he didn't say it outright, Don respected Ada's dedication and refusal to back down. The breaking point. Despite her resilience, Ada found herself reaching a breaking point. The constant pressure and lack of acknowledgement from Dawn left her questioning her abilities. One evening, after an especially grueling day, she sat in her car, staring at the dashboard. Tears welled in her eyes as she thought about how far she had come, only to feel like she was back in a place where she wasn't enough. That night, Ada made a decision. She drafted her resignation letter, packed her belongings, and left it on Dawn's desk the next morning. When Dawn arrived and saw the letter, he frowned, an unfamiliar pang of regret tugging at his chest. Ada was one of the most capable people on his team. Why hadn't he noticed her frustration sooner? Quiet farewell. Ada left the office quietly, not bothering with goodbyes. As she stepped out of the mall for the last time, a cool breeze brushed against her skin. She looked up at the sky, the fading sunlight casting a golden glow over the city. For the first time in a long while, she felt a sense of relief. She didn't know what lay ahead, but she was certain of one thing: she would never settle for less than she deserved again. Little did she know, her journey with Dawn was far from over. Don Onyekachi sat in his expansive office, the resignation letter still in his hand. The bold strokes of Ada's signature stared back at him, a reminder of the talent he had let slip away. For a man who prided himself on precision and control, Don was not accustomed to second-guessing himself. Yet, Ada's departure left him unsettled. He remembered her fiery defiance during meetings, her quiet diligence, and the rare moments when her laughter filled the break room. She was exceptional, even if he had rarely shown it. Now she was gone, and he couldn't shake the feeling that he had driven her away. Determined to understand, Don called the HR department. "I need Ada Okonkwo's resume," he said curtly. A visit to Ada. Armed with the information from her file, Don found Ada's address in Ikeja, a quieter suburb of Lagos. That Saturday, dressed in a casual but sharp outfit, dark jeans and a crisp white shirt, he arrived at her family home. The modest bungalow was surrounded by lush hibiscus flowers, their vibrant colors a stark contrast to the industrial gray of the mall. Ada's mother answered the door, her face a mix of curiosity and surprise at seeing the imposing man standing before her. "Good afternoon, sir. How can I help you?" "Good afternoon, Ma. My name is Don Onyekachi. I was Ada's manager at Lux Fashion Mall," he said, his voice steady but warm. "I'd like to speak with her, if she's available." Ada appeared moments later, her expression unreadable. She had swapped her corporate attire for a simple Ankara dress, her natural curls framing her face. "Mr. Don?" she asked, clearly taken aback. "Please, call me Don," he said, offering a small smile. "Can we talk?" She hesitated but eventually nodded, stepping out onto the veranda. They sat on a wooden bench, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows around them. "I didn't come to persuade you to return," Don began, his tone earnest. "I came because I realize I've been unfair to you. I pushed you too hard without acknowledging your efforts. I'm sorry." Ada blinked, surprised by his candor. She had expected defensiveness or even indifference, not an apology. "Thank you," she said softly. "But it wasn't just about the workload. I needed to leave because I lost my sense of balance. I've worked so hard to rebuild my life, and I couldn't let myself fall back into a place of constant stress and self-doubt." Don nodded, his respect for her growing. "I understand. And I hope you'll let me make it up to you, not as your boss, but as someone who admires your resilience." Ada studied him carefully. There was no trace of the stern, unyielding manager she had worked under. Instead, she saw a man who, like her, was trying to navigate his imperfections. A growing friendship. After that day, Don made it a point to stay in touch. He would drop by with small gifts for Ada's mother, freshly baked bread or a basket of fruits, and engage Kelechi in spirited debates about tech trends. With Ada, he was patient, slowly building a foundation of trust. They talked about their pasts, their dreams, and the challenges they had faced. Don shared stories of his humble beginnings, how he had worked his way up from a struggling trader in ABA to a successful entrepreneur in Lagos. "I've made mistakes along the way," he admitted one evening as they strolled through a local park. "But meeting you has made me realize I want to be better, not just in my work, but as a person." Ada found herself softening toward him. Beneath his commanding presence was a man who was kind, introspective, and deeply committed to growth. Love blossoms. As the weeks turned into months, Don and Ada's friendship deepened into something more. It was in the little things, the way Don remembered Ada's favorite book, how he encouraged her to pursue her hobbies, and the way his eyes lit up when she entered a room. One evening, after a quiet dinner at a rooftop restaurant overlooking the Lagos skyline, Don took Ada's hands in his. "Ada, you've brought light into my life in ways I didn't think possible. I know this might seem sudden, but I don't want to waste any more time. Will you marry me?" Ada's breath caught in her throat. She hadn't expected this, not so soon. Memories of her failed relationship with Yuzo flooded her mind, but so did the moments of genuine connection she had shared with Don. I need time to think," she said, her voice trembling. Don nodded, his expression soft. "Take all the time you need. I just needed you to know how I feel." A decision to make. That night, Ada sat on her bed, staring at the ring Don had placed in her hand. It was simple yet elegant, a reflection of his understated taste. She thought about how far she had come, from the heartbreak with Yuzo to finding her voice at Luxe Fashion Mall. Don had shown her a love that was respectful, supportive, and honest. He wasn't perfect, but neither was she. What mattered was that he valued her for who she was. By morning, Ada had made her decision. The morning sun cast a golden glow over Acacia, and Ada felt the warmth on her skin as she sat on the veranda. Her thoughts swirled with the weight of Don's proposal. Marriage wasn't just a romantic commitment to her, it was a union of trust, shared dreams, and unyielding respect. As she sipped her tea, her mother joined her, carrying a basket of fresh mangoes. Mama Ada, always perceptive, took one look at her daughter and smiled knowingly. "Let me guess," she said, settling into the seat next to Ada. "You're thinking about Don's proposal?" Ada nodded, grateful for her mother's insight. "It's not an easy decision, Mama. After everything that happened with Yuzo, I promised myself I'd never settle again. Don is different, but how do I know he's the right one?" Her mother reached over, gently clasping Ada's hand. "My daughter, you've grown so much in these past months. You've learned to value yourself and demand respect. That's a gift. Don't make this decision out of fear, but also don't ignore what your heart is telling you." Ada smiled faintly, her mother's words soothing her anxiety. "Thank you, Mama." That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Ada sent Don a message asking to meet him at their favorite park. The answer. Don arrived promptly, his tall frame silhouetted against the soft glow of streetlights. He wore a navy blue shirt and khaki pants, a simple yet refined look that reflected his personality. Ada took a deep breath, meeting him near the benches where they had shared so many conversations. "Don," she began, her voice steady, "when you asked me to marry you, I wasn't sure how to respond. I've been hurt before, and I was afraid of making the wrong choice." Don's gaze was calm, his hands resting in his pockets. "I understand, Ada. I would never want you to feel pressured." Ada stepped closer, her eyes meeting his. "But as I thought about it, I realized something. You've shown me what it means to be valued and loved for who I am. You've supported me, respected me, and given me the space to heal. That's more than I ever thought I'd find." Don's expression softened, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "Yes, Don," Ada said, a smile spreading across her face. "I'll marry you." Relief and joy washed over Don as he pulled her into a warm embrace. "Thank you, Ada. I promise to spend my life making you happy." A surprise beginning. The weeks that followed were filled with wedding preparations. Ada's family and friends rallied around her, helping her plan an intimate yet elegant ceremony. Don's family, who adored Ada from the moment they met her, offered their full support. As the wedding approached, Don surprised Ada with a gesture that left her speechless. One evening, he drove her to a construction site on the outskirts of Lagos. "What's this?" Ada asked, stepping out of the car and staring at the half-built structure. "This," Don said, his voice filled with excitement, "is for you." "For me?" Ada turned to him, her brows furrowed in confusion. Don grinned. "You once told me about your dream of owning a fashion business. I've been working on this project for months. It's going to be the biggest fashion mall in Lagos, and I want you to run it. Ada's hands flew to her mouth, tears welling in her eyes. Don, I don't even know what to say. Say you'll make it your own, Don said, his tone earnest. You deserve every success, Ada. I believe in you. In that moment, Ada realized she had found more than a partner in Don. She had found someone who truly believed in her dreams and was willing to help her achieve them. The wedding. The wedding was a beautiful celebration of love and resilience. Ada walked down the aisle in a stunning white gown adorned with intricate lace, her hair styled in elegant waves. Don stood at the altar, his eyes filled with admiration as he watched her approach. As they exchanged vows, Ada felt a profound sense of peace. She had come so far, and standing beside Don, she knew this was just the beginning of a life filled with love, respect, and shared dreams. The reception was lively, with traditional music, dance, and an abundance of food. Friends and family celebrated late into the night, their laughter echoing across the venue. A new chapter. After the wedding, Don officially handed over the reins of the new fashion mall to Ada. The mall quickly became a hub for designers and fashion enthusiasts, cementing Ada's reputation as a savvy businesswoman. A year later, the couple welcomed their first child, a baby boy they named Chukwuemeka, meaning God has done great. Ada and Don poured their love into their son, creating a home filled with joy and warmth. For Ada, life with Don was a testament to the power of resilience and the beauty of finding love on her own terms. Though the journey had been tumultuous, it had led her to a place of true happiness. The air in Ada and Don's home was filled with the soft coos of their son, Chukwuemeka, who had just turned 6 months old. Their sprawling house in Lekki was a harmonious blend of modern architecture and African elegance, with bold patterns and traditional art adorning the walls. The couple's life was a testament to hard work, love, and mutual respect. Ada sat on the living room couch, holding her son in her arms. She marveled at his tiny fingers curling around hers, a symbol of the life and love she and Don had built together. You know, Don said as he entered the room, holding 2 cups of tea, I think Emeka is going to be as brilliant as his mother. Ada laughed, the sound light and musical. Or as determined as his father. Let's just hope he doesn't inherit your stubbornness. Don chuckled, sitting beside her. That stubbornness got me you, didn't it? She smiled, leaning her head against his shoulder. Life with Don had become a blend of challenges and triumphs, but through it all, they had grown stronger together. A flourishing career. The fashion mall Ada now managed had become one of the most talked about establishments in Lagos. Designers from across Nigeria sought partnerships with her, impressed by her vision and business acumen. One afternoon, Ada received an invitation to speak at an international business conference in Johannesburg. The topic? Women in Leadership and the Rise of African Entrepreneurs. As she prepared her speech, Don stood by her, offering advice and encouragement. You've earned this, he said, pride evident in his voice. Go and show the world what you're capable of. The conference was a resounding success. Ada's speech was met with a standing ovation, and she returned home with new partnerships and opportunities that would take her business to even greater heights. Don's surprise. Months after the conference, Don had another surprise for Ada. On their second wedding anniversary, he took her to the site of a new construction project in Lagos. This, Don said, pointing to the foundation being laid, is a school. I've been working on it quietly for some time now. A school? Ada asked, her eyes lighting up. Don nodded. It's for underprivileged children. Education gave me a chance when I had nothing. I want to give that same opportunity to others. Tears filled Ada's eyes as she hugged him. You're incredible, Don. I'm so proud of you. They decided to name the school after Ada's late father, a man who had always valued education and community. Building a legacy together. As the years passed, Ada and Don continued to grow as individuals and as a couple. They expanded their ventures, built lifelong friendships, and created a home filled with love and laughter. Their son, Chukwuemeka, grew up surrounded by role models who taught him the importance of kindness, hard work, and staying true to one's values. One evening, as the family sat on their balcony overlooking the glittering Lego skyline, Ada turned to Don. "Do you ever think about how far we've come?" Don smiled, taking her hand in his. "Every single day. And I know this is just the beginning." Ada leaned against him, her heart full. She had found her true love, not in a perfect man, but in one who was willing to grow with her, respect her dreams, and build a future they both believed in. In that moment, under the vast African sky, Ada knew she was exactly where she was meant to be, loved, respected, and fulfilled. The end. If you enjoyed this story, we invite you to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support motivates us to keep bringing heartwarming stories almost every day. We are very grateful for your support. See you soon.